everyone, what's up? Welcome to the channel. It is Denise Salcedo. Are you guys ready for my final show of the week? It is Speak Now Pro Wrestling, the SmackDown edition. And what an episode of SmackDown we had today. It was actually a pretty solid episode of SmackDown for a show that didn't have a lot really heavily promoted. I was just kind of jumping in, ready for my ordinary every Friday night SmackDown. I do gotta say they definitely delivered, especially during that main event, which I can't wait to get into. However, if you are new to this stream, we do cover everything in chronological order from the top of the show way down to the last and final few minutes of the show. Guys, what a day. We started things off with a big announcement from WWE, which I will be getting into today as well. But before we get started, I do want to kick things off by letting you guys all know that this is a very interactive stream. If you guys want to go ahead and send in any comments, questions, or statements, you are more than welcome to, because I will be reading your thoughts throughout the entire show. We're actually going to kick things off with our first super chat of the night. This one here is from Adam Blamplate, my creation, my wonderful utensil. Adam Blamplate says that opening segment showed the difference between telling the wrestlers what to do and giving them some creative control over their characters. SmackDown had a very interesting start to today's show, and we'll jump into that shortly, but it was something that I kind of wasn't expecting. I thought that some people came out looking better than others, and we will talk about that once we actually get into this segment. But shout out to Adam Blamplate for sending in this super chat. Thank you so much. We have a couple of super chats. Guys, thank you so much. This next one is from Cameron Mumford, who says, pretty decent show. I'll say one thing though, they definitely made sure that everyone knows they're going back on the road. Thank you so much, Cameron. You are actually going to lead me into my new segment. So for those of you guys who do not know, because it wasn't told to us 1 zillion times today on SmackDown, WWE will be returning to live event touring with a 25-city schedule through Labor Day. So the tour will debut in July in Texas with a trio of shows which were announced already. The following dates are Friday, July 16th, SmackDown will be at the Toyota Center in Houston. So that's going to be a very exciting show to recap. Then following that, we have our first pay-per-view aside from WrestleMania with an actual audience. It is Money in the Bank on July 18th. That's going to be taking place in the Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. And then the Monday right after Money in the Bank, Raw, they're going to be having it at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. So tickets for these events are going on sale Wednesday of next week. So they made sure to announce this way ahead of time. And they also let us know that additional store stops and on sale dates will be announced in the coming weeks. And given everything that has been going on, I'm not surprised that we are getting this announcement. Obviously, a couple of weeks ago, AEW made an announcement very similar to this, where they were talking about going back on the road and also announced their dates as well, and even got to basically promote that they're the first major promotion in the wrestling promotion to go back and tour here in the United States. So that was kind of interesting, and I was pretty much expecting for WWE to basically make a similar announcement. Also, I'm noticing that even like outside of wrestling, a lot of people are already announcing tours, concerts, all of that. And I don't know how many you guys know that I'm out here in California, and literally just a couple of hours ago, the news came out that starting June 15, they're essentially going to start like no longer doing capacity limits whatsoever, and they're basically going to be running all of these places with as many people, however many people as possible. So I am I'm excited that we're getting back to this like normal lifestyle, but at the same time, I don't want to get too excited about it just because you just never know. I mean, we never expected this pandemic in the first place, so you just never know what's going to go down. So I'm trying not to get too excited, but I can't lie and tell you guys that I'm not excited. But thank you so much to Cameron Munford for sending in this super chat. If you guys want to let me know what you guys thought of the announcement of WWE going back on tour. Go ahead and let me know in the comments section. Plus, obviously, they do mention it a million times here on SmackDown. But shout out to Cameron for sending in this super chat. This one's from Matthew Makovsky, who says, did you like my Ultra chat on the Mailbag Show? I always like all the chats on the Mailbag Show. They're always really fun. When I do the Mailbag Show on Wrestle Talk, it's really, really fun with Luke Owens. So that's really nice. Thank you so much to Matthew Makovsky, who's always sending and supporting a lot on pretty much all the podcasts that I'm on. So thank you so much to Matthew for sending in another super chat. And we actually have another one from my good friend, Brandon Charles Powell, who says, look at Paul Heyman getting the Shield theme music. Why not? That is another major discussion point that we are also going to dive into today, and kind of one that I wasn't even expecting to be an actual conversation today, but we will get into that. Thank you so much to Brandon for sending in this super chat. All right, and I'm trying to see what you guys are saying. All right, so let me address this. Speaking of other podcasts that I do, Ricky Zaldivar says, hey, Denise, what happened on this morning's podcast? So for those of you guys who listen to me on Wrestle Talk, I completely disappeared, and probably we had like maybe 10 minutes left on our podcast, and I completely just disappeared and left poor Luke Owen to fend for himself. So for those of you guys who are wondering what happened to me this morning, was my power went out. There was a power outage. I have no idea why, but it was out for like 2 hours. I did not have light. My food was rotting in the refrigerator. You name it, that's what happened. So it's kind of one of those things where I feel like at this point, everything has happened to me on podcasts, but that's pretty much what's going on. That's pretty much what happened with that. So let's see what you guys are saying here. I'm trying to see if you guys had any comments in regards to them going back. Okay, this is a comment from Joseph, who says that WWE hammered it home that they are back to normal July 16th. He says, I wonder what happened to make them go from doing a test run Money in the Bank weekend to 100% back. Cuff AEW back July 7th. Well, there's a lot of things that are being said about this, and let's just say I'm not surprised whatsoever that they are coming back. Let's go ahead and get started, guys. Let's talk about the opening segment to SmackDown, because obviously Sonya comes out and the first thing she says is, hey guys, we're going back on the road. This is happening. And she basically reiterates the exact same points that I just talked about that was released in the WWE press release. They do this like Champions Carnival, which I thought was really, really weird. I don't know how you guys felt about this opening segment, but for me, this entire opening segment felt really, really odd. Like, I didn't understand why they were having all the champions out there. It was cool. Don't mind me. Probably wasn't the coolest thing ever, but it was fine. It was just a little bit weird because I thought to myself, like, why are they all there? Like, I don't get it. And I don't know how much in advance they announced this parade thing. I didn't know about it going into SmackDown. So if they announced it ahead of time, then my bad. I did not see the announcement. So they basically do this. Sonya Deville introduces all of the champions. Apollo Crews cuts a promo right before. Then afterwards, they announce Bianca Belair. And, but then this is where the big topic, the big thing to talk about comes along. So Paul Heyman comes out during this. And here's the thing, though, is that before we know it's actually Paul Heyman, we have the Shield music play, which was Roman's theme song for a very long time, even when he was no longer with the Shield. Hell, it was his theme song like a month ago, maybe even less than that. And so he comes out to it, and for a second, I'm thinking, what the hell? Did they go back and change Roman Reigns' music back to the old theme? I thought they really did. But then it was just Paul Heyman who came out by himself. And then I thought to myself, okay, so when when Paul Heyman comes out by himself, does this mean he has to come out to the Shield's music? It was all so confusing and completely threw me off, where I was like, I don't know what is happening here. So he comes out, and I'm just thinking that this does not make sense whatsoever. And he basically says that, Roman is too good for this and isn't going to take part in this little champions parade. So as this is all happening, Bayley comes out and she's essentially pissed off, and she's saying that she should be acknowledged because she was a champion, SmackDown Women's Champion for over, I think it was 380 days if I'm not mistaken here, but over 300 something days, right? And she talks about being a double champion and how she was, a champion during this pandemic era. She didn't say pandemic, but she talked about the Thunderdome era. And basically she's pissed about this. So this all leads into Nia, Shayna, and Bayley versus Tamina, Natty, and Bianca Belair. This leads into a 6-woman tag. But before we actually get to the 6-woman tag, let's see what you guys are all saying here. So let's see what you guys have here. This is a comment from Steiner83 who says, I assumed Roman's new theme wouldn't work for Heyman walking out since the intro takes so long. It's almost like he should come up for a special theme for Paul Heyman if he were to come out by himself, although it's probably not something that they figured that they actually needed, because coming out to the Shield music, it's weird. It's weird. Like, I'd rather have Paul Heyman come out to no music or come out to Roman Reigns' music or get his own music. I think I prefer any of those other options than actually coming out to the Shield's music. Brandon says, the opening segment may have been odd, but I like how Sonya was trying to put over all the titles and make them mean something. Yeah, I like that too. And obviously, given the fact that they're promoting that they are going back on the road, introduce your champions. I'm cool with that. And let's see what else we got here. Pomi Wrestling says, aside from announcing the return to touring and setting up the 6-woman tag, we've likely already seen. What was the point of this segment? Exactly. It all kind of felt like it was convoluted. It all felt like they were throwing in so much to basically lead off into other things. However, how the show started tonight is not a direct correlation to how the show ended. I think that SmackDown kicked off a little strange, a little different, but it ended on a very, very high note, and we will eventually get to all of that. We have a comment from Sean Harrington who says, saying they mean something and actually making them mean something is totally different thing. I didn't buy into it all. In fact, I really didn't like SmackDown at all and am uninterested in Alistair Black. Oh, I cannot wait to talk about Alistair Black because I had some opinions in regards to the first thing we saw him do on SmackDown, but given how the show ended, I think I have different opinions now, but we'll see. We'll get there. We have another super chat. Thank you so much to Khaled Adam who says, hi, Denise. Thoughts on Bobby Roode jobbing tonight? Khaled Adam, since you sent in a super chat, actually, we'll get to that because that is coming up and I still haven't talked about the 6-woman tag, but I will be talking about Bobby Roode shortly. So give me a second on that one there. All right. So guys, the 6-person tag, opening match of the night, Nia, Shayna, Bayley versus Tamina, Natty, and Bianca Belair. And to be honest here, guys, one of the number one complaints that I have had on the Raw side of things when I recap Raw is that I am so kind of over the fact that they keep bunching in the women's championship picture and the tag team championship picture. And I'm pretty sure I've said it on the show a million times because it's something that has been terribly annoying. We're always talking about pet peeves in wrestling. This has been one of my pet peeves. And today, this match was a perfect example of the entire argument, the entire rant that I went on last week about the fact that we need more women on the SmackDown roster. I already went on a whole discussion about that last week, so I'm not going to go into that again this week, but I'm just going to tell you guys, this was a perfect example of the fact that we need more women on this roster, because as much as I like all of these women, we've seen them all pretty much do the exact same thing, same matches, different variations. Like, it's like they're putting it in a washing machine, seeing what comes out, but they're putting the same clothes into the washing machine and seeing what they can get out of that each time they open it up. I don't know how else to describe this, but they really do need to get some more women on here. But Going into this match itself, though, this was a perfectly okay match. Bianca basically gives Shayna a spine buster. We see a crossbody on Bayley and Nia from Bianca Belair, which was a really good moment in this match. But one of the things that I also feel like I have to point out, and I should have mentioned this at the top, because when Bayley was out there basically talking down to Bianca Belair during this opening segment of SmackDown, and even last week, all of the things that Bayley was saying, I really do think that as of this moment, as of this point in time, Bayley is very much outshining Bianca Belair when it comes to personality and charisma and promo skills. And that's not something that I was expecting to come on here and say, because I like Bianca Belair, and we've talked about the fact that she's such a natural babyface. Everybody likes her. I don't like people who, I feel like there's more people who like Bianca Belair, obviously, than dislike Bianca Belair. So I feel that WWE is not necessarily capitalizing on the fact that she is such a natural babyface and is genuinely likable. I feel like they need to give her something a little bit more, because so far right now, I'm looking at this feud between Bianca Belair and Bayley. And even though I do think that Bianca Belair is supremely more athletic than Bayley and all of that, I just feel like right now, I am finding myself more interested in Bayley because of the way that she has been presenting herself in this feud. So they do need to capitalize more on Bianca Belair and her natural likability factor. Later on in this match, we see Tamina do several headbutts on Shayna. Tamina kicks Nia. That looks pretty good. We see Bayley to belly on the outside of the ring to Bianca Belair. We see Shayna essentially for the finish gets the Karafuda clutch on Natty, and Natty ends up tapping, and that is how this match ends. So you do see Nia, Shayna, and Bayley taking the win. So what do you guys all think? Go ahead and let me know in the comments, and let's see what you guys are all saying here. This is a comment from Patrick, who says, Bayley is the best. In my opinion, she is the best women's wrestler in the world. I'm more of a Charlotte fan. Oh, I'm going to get people that are like, you're more of a Charlotte fan? Hey, everybody has their favorites, okay? So sue me, my favorite is Charlotte Flair. But that does not mean whatsoever that Bayley is not incredible, because Bayley is hella incredible. And I don't have to tell you all of the things that she has done in the company, everything that she's done with Sasha Banks, and just like everything, right? So obviously, going into this match, Bayley is going to be more experienced than Bianca Belair and all of that. So I do feel like because of the big experience factor that Bayley has over Bianca Belair, that could be the reason why she tends to be out. That I feel that she's outshining her at the moment. But that's why, for me, they need to find a way to really, really not lose the momentum that Bianca has had as this whole roller coaster that she's had in WWE, because she really was up here where like people were really behind her. You were really feeling the momentum that she was riding, and it's kind of gone downhill, and you don't want that, because you really do need a very strong baby face, and you have that. You have everything that you can possibly have and more with Bianca Belair. So, let's see what else you guys are saying here. So this is a comment from Joseph, who says, I wished Mia Yim would debut. They need fresh faces for SmackDown. Also on the men's side too, they need new faces, especially with the WWE Universal Championship title picture. Yeah, you can argue the thing about the women, but yeah, I think you can also definitely argue the men as well. This is a comment from Mark Jackson, who says, why does it feel like they flip-flop with the female division once a week? Someone can be heel, then the next week be face. It makes no sense. And I know this isn't a Raw post show, but a perfect example of that is definitely Rhea Ripley, guys. During WrestleMania Backlash, I posted a poll on Twitter, and I got like 1,000 votes where I asked people, hey, is Rhea Ripley a face? Is she a face, or is she a heel? And I think, if I remember correctly, it was almost 70% of those people in that poll all said that they didn't even know what Rhea Ripley was. So that's just kind of a little example of what Mark Johnson brought up here for a second. Colette Adam asked a good question, says, where is Carmella? Unfortunately, I think, this is just my assumption, I think that in their eyes, Carmela slotted. I almost feel like they don't have any ideas for her, or they don't necessarily see her at a certain level. So because they don't see her at that certain level, they're not going to do anything with her. That's my assumption. Obviously, we don't know that if that's the for sure reason why we don't get to see her that often. I wish that they would do something with Carmela, especially given that they did this whole, new thing with her character. They really did a lot of, they basically revamped her character, but it kind of went nowhere after that feud that she had with Sasha Banks. And to be honest, that feud with Sasha Banks was pretty good. It wasn't bad. It was perfectly fine. I mean, it wasn't like Sasha Banks Bayley. It didn't have that type of, heat or any of that, but it was still perfectly passable. So I do wish that they would obviously do more with Carmela and more with some of the other women. Obviously, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan especially, who I think they can definitely get creative with her, but they just really haven't. This is a comment from Aaron who says, can they split up Nia and Shayna already? The act is stale now and has been for months. I mean, this is something that is talked about non-stop. And I agree. Brandon asks, did the Riot Squad get taken by zombies? Damn, they might as well have been taken out by zombies. We haven't seen them whatsoever, guys. I'll probably have to check back, and I know we've talked about the last time we actually saw the Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, but right now it just doesn't feel like they're doing much with them. I do really feel like a lot of people in their eyes, they're really much slotted where they're at. At least that's how it feels. And okay, I'm going to see a couple more comments and we'll kind of go on and move on here from this. So this is a comment from, let's see. This is a comment from Pomi who says, quick reminder, Tamina and Natalya will take on Nia and Shayna on Raw for the 5th time since WrestleMania, and that's without counting singles and trios matches. That's what it is, guys. It's basically, we're just seeing the same things over and over. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on. So after this, we had, and we'll talk about the start of what we saw with Alistair Black here today, and then we'll talk about how things ended. So after this match, we had Alistair Black come out, and he basically does his, I think this is now the 4th or the 5th vignette that he's done in regards to the Tales of the Dark Father. And I will be completely honest with you. I tweeted right after this, and I said, I asked people, what did Alistair Black say in this promo? Because I tuned out. I completely tuned out. You guys know, if you've been watching this show each and every single week, you know that at first week, I was like, oh, cool, Alistair Black is back. This is great. I was happy. I was excited for him. I thought this was cool. We talked about his character and maybe some of the inspirations that he had taken from, I know some people mentioned some other type of stuff, like from popular culture that he might have incorporated into this new gimmick, this new character. And we were all cool about it. But then as the weeks progressed, it was like, all right, we're still doing this. What else are we going to do here? And I mentioned on here that I got to the point, for me personally, I think by the third week. By the third week, I was starting to feel like, okay, this is too not even making sense to me anymore. And when he just starts saying a bunch of words, you stop listening. You stop listening. And that is what I feel happened with Alistair Black. And I was going to come on to the show and say, oh my God, we are doing the exact same thing with Alistair Black again. And I was already frustrated. So during this vignette, just know that I was done. I was frustrated and I was over the whole Alistair Black thing. Now, again, as you guys know, we saw a different turn of events later on in the show, but we will not talk about that yet until we get to that moment, because that is how I felt at the start of all of this. This is a comment from Josh Bowen who says, if you aren't into supernatural characters, then the Alistair Black thing isn't for you. And I completely agree with Josh Bowen on this, because I am not into the supernatural stuff, and I could get into it. I feel if it's done in a way that I find interesting, then I could get into it, because I'm not just going to be closed off from it. I'm open to whatever, creative things come along, right? I've considered myself an open-minded person, but when you just see the same things over and over, and also the fact that it was pretty much the exact same thing that he was doing on Raw, just a little bit different, but pretty much the exact same thing, for me, it just stops becoming interesting. So that's how I felt about this. And let's see what we got here. Oh, we have somebody that had a theory. Okay, Joseph says, my theory is Thea Trinidad comes back as Zelina Vega, as rumors are saying. I think it will probably be a part of whatever the hell the diamond mine is. Yeah, we don't even know what that's all about yet. I thought you were actually going to say that maybe she would come out doing something with Aleister Black, but I thought that's where your theory was going. So I was a little wrong on that. So maybe that's my theory now. Sean Harrington says, Alistair loses all intimidation factor wearing, oh dear. Oh, that is a very interesting thing to say about his glasses. I wouldn't say that. I think they're more like nerdy, but I wouldn't say the other word. All right. Brandon Rosen, thank you so much for sending in the super chat. Brandon says, I liked Alistair Black more when he said less and kicked people in the face more. Oh, well, at least tonight we at least got a black mask. 113%. Yes, Brandon Rosen. We all can agree, I feel, that we like Alistair Black the most when he isn't coming, asking people to come knock on his door, reading the things about the dark tale of his evil father. We like him when he's coming out and he's kicking ass. It's that simple. Have the guy come out. Have the guy kick some ass. Have the guy get some wins. Have him build a freaking character that is not boring, and hell, build him up and see what you can do with him, see what matches you can pull out of him. I was gonna say, hell, even have him go against Roman Reigns, but we need more baby faces, guys. I'll just say that much. But anyways, build the guy up. Aaron says, Aleister Black had one eye, which was different color to the other. Maybe that was a reference when Seth put his eye in the steel steps. You know, Aaron, that is actually a good point because I did notice the difference in his eyes. Obviously, we saw the difference in his eyes, but I didn't even make the correlation about the whole Seth Rollins taking his eye out on Raw several months ago. I did not make that correlation, so I'm actually really glad that you pointed that out here. And Tamzid says, Aleister Black needs to return to the ring for God's sake. Well, it's looking like we'll get there, but we'll talk about that once we actually get there. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so after this, we got Baron Corbin versus Elias, and we kind of have a lot to talk about here because Baron Corbin comes out and basically says he wasn't going to say anything and that he was going to let his actions do the talking in regards to Shinsuke Nakamura taking his crown. But after Shinsuke Nakamura utilized his social media platforms by essentially parading himself all over the town, doing everything underneath the sun, wearing that crown, he felt he was being very, very disrespected by Shinsuke Nakamura. And so he starts talking about how a real king wears expensive watches and drives Ferraris. And then, quote, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard him refer to Shinsuke Nakamura as a shabby tabby cat. I repeat, a shabby tabby cat. Now, unless I didn't clean my ears right, that is exactly what he referred to Shinsuke Nakamura as, a shabby tabby cat. And it completely threw me for a loop because I was like, dude, I can't take you seriously when you're calling somebody a shabby tabby cat. But whatever. So he vows to take back his crown. Then we have Rick Boogs, and I hope I'm saying his last name correctly. Boogs comes out, and he essentially is playing guitar for Shinsuke Nakamura, which obviously he actually can really play the guitar, as you guys saw. I like this. Holy dang. After he didn't just come out and play guitar for him, he also was on the sidelines during this match, and he even helped lead to the finish. So aside from this match, I thought this was your basic match that you would expect from Shinsuke Nakamura and Baron Corbin. But the finish is what we need to talk about because the finish came when Rick was essentially starting to play the guitar. He plays Shinsuke Nakamura's theme song and therefore distracts Baron Corbin. And so Shinsuke Nakamura takes advantage of that, gets him on a roll up and ends up winning the match. So Boogs has been in WWE since 2017. He appeared on NXT television a couple of times and had recently been working NXT live events, obviously prior to the pandemic. His last match on an NXT live event prior to the pandemic was on March 7th, 2020, where he defeated Tino Sabatelli. He also previously appeared in Evolve prior to their shutdown as well. Also naming the fact that he won the 24/7 title twice. As you guys know, Night Panther. So that's kind of the background on him. But this is what I want to talk about in regards to Rick. So in regards to him here, I like the fact that they're finding a way to utilize him as in different roles. So today with him just even coming out, playing guitar, doing this with Shinsuke Nakamura, it was a really good way to not just have him, just being there and utilize him, use him, find things that he is good at. I like the fact that, hey, he's a guitar player in real life. He has these skills. So why not find a place for him to do something, to add something to the show, to be part of it. I thought that he added a lot, even being on ringside. You can tell that he was really pumped, brought forth a lot of charisma. You can tell he has a lot of personality. And I don't even have to get to his look because you guys all have eyes here. You guys all know how Rick looks. I mean, the guy is built. He is jacked, okay? He is jacked. The guy looks good, physically looks good. So on top of that, he has personality and he's got some skills. So I think that it's good that they actually found a way to use him on the show. And I do think that they should do that more with some of their developmental talent. If they're not necessarily TV ready or ready to have all these matches, or maybe they don't have a spot for them yet, or they don't feel like they have something going for them yet, I like the fact that they can find different ways to actually incorporate them into the show. And that's what we saw today with Rick. And I like this. I kind of hope that we get to continue seeing Rick and Shinsuke Nakamura together. I don't know if this was like a one-off thing, but if this continues to go on a couple weeks, I'm totally into that. So what did you guys think of all of this? Go ahead and send in your thoughts. We actually have a super chat from Brandon who says, he says, I have to say I popped big time for Rick Boogs. I remember his NXT debut way back when and always thought he should get more opportunities. Excellent charisma. Oh, yeah, you saw that right away. You know who he kind of reminded me of in terms of charisma? In terms of the energy, really. Like the energy that he brought. He reminded me of Mojo Rawley, where he has that very like you can tell the guy is ready. Like when you say go, it's your turn. He is on. Hell, he might be on 24/7. Maybe not to the extent of Mojo Rawley and his energy, but somewhere along those lines. At least that's what he reminded me of personally. We have another super chat from Wrestling Gamer. Thank you so much. Says, Shinsuke is a strong style king and Corbin is the Burger King. I can't argue that much. I like Baron Corbin, like outside the ring and all of that. I think he's a really nice guy. But inside the ring, I'm not the biggest fan of Baron Corbin. And I'll just be honest with you guys there. So this is a comment from Brandon who says, good to see a new face on SmackDown. Also, got to watch out for that distracting music and then the roll-up. I will say this, as much as I hate distractions and I hate them so much, and we all hate them, I'm not alone with this. You know what? At least he got distracted because the guy was playing guitar. Hell, I will take it. It's not that much, but I'll take it. All right, and let's see what else we got here. This is a comment from Chris Cage 2X who says, Rick Boogs versus Elias in a concert match. Book it. Hell yeah. Winner gets to, I don't know, perform at WrestleMania. I was trying to think of something that they can win. Maybe a guitar. I don't know. A signed guitar. I'm putting too much thought into this now. And this is a comment from Dalen who says, Pat McAfee doing the air guitar on Michael Cole killed me. It killed me too. And you want to know why? Not necessarily because it was really funny, because it kind of looks somewhat inappropriate. If you go back and watch that clip, something totally different popped into my mind. So I got to get my mind completely out of the gutter, but it was kind of funny. And I did notice, obviously, Pat McAfee doing the air guitar on Michael Cole. And let's see what else we got here. Any other thoughts on Rick? Send them in here, and I'm going to kind of scroll through this as we go through all of this. All right, I think, okay, this is coming from Sean, who says, Boogs doesn't look like Elias. They are just doing a similar gimmick. No, I wouldn't say they look like each other. I mean, they kind of have, they're both like, have a good physique. They have a good physique and lots of hair, but I wouldn't say they look exactly alike. All right. Moving on from this, guys, before I move on, friendly reminder to everybody. So next week, as you guys know, I cover NXT, AEW, and SmackDown here on F4W Online. However, next week, AEW is going to be preempted because of sports. So AEW is going to be preempted to Friday. So instead of doing my Wednesday show, I will not be on Wednesday because obviously there's going to be no Dynamite on Wednesday. Dynamite is actually going to be airing after SmackDown next Friday. So next Friday, the show is going to be totally different because instead of just talking about SmackDown, I'm going to be talking about both SmackDown and AEW Dynamite. And I'm actually going to be going on later. So instead of going on at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be going live at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time so that I can watch both SmackDown and AEW Dynamite while it airs, and obviously live tweet and all of that, and then come on to the show and talk about that. So just a heads up for those of you guys who tune into the AEW show, obviously I'll be talking about it on this show, and for those of you guys who tune in just for the SmackDown show, know that I will also be talking about AEW. But obviously I'll be kicking things off with SmackDown and closing off the show with AEW Dynamite. But that is just for next week, and pretty much whenever AEW gets preempted, I will obviously have a different hour of a stream. So that's pretty much what's going to happen. Yeah, good luck to the East Coasters, guys. I'm really sorry. You guys kind of get screwed on all of these time zones. Luckily for me, I'm in the Pacific time zone, so I'm okay with all of that. And Dalen says, oh God, I can already hear the WWE AEW fans arguing. Not exactly. So when I was doing both AEW Dynamite and NXT, what would happen is I would do AEW Dynamite, and everybody would like, my views were like, at a certain point, right? But then I would go into NXT, and then you would see whatever number I was at, it would drop because the people that didn't want to hear about NXT would tune out. So that's what I'm expecting with SmackDown AEW. Those who want to hear about SmackDown will stay or go, and vice versa. Same thing with AEW. Joseph Boza says, I just feel for all the podcasters like Denise who talk about all shows. Yeah, I don't like AEW being preempted personally for me because it just screws with my schedule. And also people like habits. So it's going to be really weird not doing a Wednesday show. But here we go, guys. Let's move on. So BTW, next week, we actually have a match announced for SmackDown. Hallelujah. Let's do this. Usos versus Street Profits. And the reason why I'm celebrating is because I feel like they never announced anything ahead of SmackDown for like the coming week. So I'm actually glad that we're going to get the Usos versus the Street Profits. However, there is a little turbulence between Roman and Jay, because Roman essentially tells Jay that he doesn't want him teaming with Jimmy. So hopefully we do get this match, but I think that there might be some issues where who knows what will happen between Jimmy and Jay Uso with Roman Reigns and all of that. So here we go. Roman comes out, Jey Uso comes out, Paul Heyman comes out. Roman comes out to his new theme once again, so all is good. Earlier, we were freaking out about what the hell is going on with the Shield music. Why are we getting the Shield music? Well, turns out it's just for Paul Heyman because, once again, we have Roman coming out to his godlike music thing. But here's where I do have to give a little bit of criticism or complain just a little bit. Last week, I mentioned that I do not like when they have Roman Reigns coming out or anybody coming out and essentially standing in the ring for like ever while they do other stuff and then eventually get to what they were going to do. They did the exact same thing with Roman Reigns today. And I'm thinking to myself, with all the people in the world or on the roster, why would you do this to Roman Reigns? So you have Roman Reigns come out and you're like, okay, he's going to cut a promo. What's going to happen, right? You're thinking this is what we're going to watch next. No, we then go to commercial. After the commercial, we get a Kevin Owens promo. After the Kevin Owens promo, we get a video package recapping Seth and Cesaro's feud. So we got three different things, all while Roman Reigns was just standing there with Jey Uso and Paul Heyman. So I do have to say, it looks very strange to me. I'm not a fan of that, but whatever. So Roman says he doesn't like to brag about himself live on television. What a nice guy. What a gentleman. So much class. So he's going to have his special counsel, Paul Heyman, celebrate for him. Paul Heyman puts him over, acknowledges him, and then asks him, like, my tribal chief, what can I do for you? And so he tells him, bring out Jey Uso. And Paul Heyman starts yelling at the production people, and he's like, get Jey Uso out here. Get Jey Uso out here. And then Paul Heyman says two words that absolutely killed me. Two words. He says, now, stupid. And I died. I literally died during that moment. I thought it was hilarious. So anyways, instead of Jey Uso, we get Cesaro coming out. Cesaro comes out and basically says he wants to go at it once again with Roman Reigns. Roman laughs, and then Seth, before Roman can actually respond to Cesaro, Seth Rollins comes out and attacks Cesaro. He attacks him practically all over around the ring and basically closes it out with a curb stomp on the steel portion of that ramp. So we're getting this very, very different version of Psycho from Seth Rollins, which so far I'm liking. It still feels like a little bit like weird where I'm like, okay, are you completely, totally on Roman Reigns' side? What is happening here? I'm still not entirely sure that I understand the relationship currently with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. So we will see how all of that develops. But I would say for the attack was fine. I just don't really want to see Cesaro versus Seth Rollins again, although I know that's probably what we're going to get once again. And also, I do have a prediction as well when it comes to Hell in a Cell. So one of the things that I wanted to go ahead and say would be that it would be really cool if they did Seth Rollins versus Cesaro at Hell in a Cell, right? But actually, instead of having Roman Reigns as part of the actual show in terms of actually having a match, I actually think it'd be better if they left Roman Reigns off of the Hell in a Cell card, just for the simple fact that because he is a champion and he's a different type of champion, and he's probably the most unique champion that they have right now, unique character that they have right now, I actually think it would be better if they didn't just put him in these meaningless matches at pay-per-views just for the sake of actually putting him on a pay-per-view, and instead of actually having him have a match, come out and he can cut a promo and essentially be pissed that there's nobody there for him to really challenge. I think that would actually make him more special, and that would be pretty interesting. And I know a lot of people would be like, well, you know what, Denise, we don't like that idea because that's essentially what they did with Brock Lesnar. But at the same time, Roman Reigns doesn't have to disappear like Brock Lesnar or only have a couple of matches every couple of months like Brock Lesnar did. But I really do think that they should keep Roman Reigns a little special, and they don't always have to include him in pay-per-view matches. And one of those I would probably say would be Hell in a Cell, where they could be like, you know what? There's nobody there to necessarily compete with Roman Reigns. You could argue Jimmy Uso, but we'll see. It was just an idea of how I feel they should probably book him differently, because he is literally the best thing that they have going right now. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. What do you think is going to happen at Hell in a Cell, and basically where you think this is all going in the sense of the direction between Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso? What the hell? Where are they going to go with all of that? So we actually have a super chat. Thank you so much to Dalen Prada, who says, Denise, thoughts on Velveteen Dreams release? Ooh, bringing in the hot one, Dalen. All I have to say about that really is it took them a very long time to make this decision. It should have been made a lot sooner. I do not think Velveteen Dream was worth the trouble of, I don't think it was worth the trouble of sticking your neck out for him. I wouldn't go out and stick my neck out for Velveteen Dream. And given the allegations made towards him and the photos and the audio files that were being circulated around the web, I found it very, very hard to believe that there was not anything going on with Velveteen Dream and these younger boys and all of that. It was very hard for me to say, you know what, maybe he's innocent. No, I was completely I just don't think that people make allegations about people like that if there's not some truth to that. And it really is what I was just talking about, the saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. And that is exactly how I felt about the Velveteen Dream situation. And I have to say that I'm glad that he's gone from the company. I do not think that he was worth, again, sticking your neck out for, especially when it comes to stuff like this. It's wrong and it's disgusting. So that's kind of where my opinion lies on all of that. So I don't feel too bad. And unfortunately, he did this to himself because he had all the opportunities in the world to really become somebody. And unfortunately, he kind of had to go and mess that up for himself. And so those are my thoughts on Velveteen Dream and that situation. So thank you so much to Dalen for sending in the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay, and all right, I'm getting several comments on everything. So let's go back to Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Jimmy. And okay, I'm going to go through a couple of them here. Let's see. All right, I'm going to try. Okay, here we go. This is from Games and YouTube, who says, babyface Roman Reigns giving Paul Heyman some time to shine on the mic to gloat for Roman. How nice of him. Also, SmackDown and Roman pretty much told the audience Roman has to have a match every pay-per-view. Well, yes and no, because he also I just don't think that they should book him exactly like every other champion. Like what they have right now with Roman Reigns is rare, so might as well capitalize on that, Switch it up a little bit. Switch it up. We have a comment from Joseph who says, I can see what Denise said happening for Roman at Hell in a Cell because I don't know what he does for that pay-per-view. Seriously, did Brian letting his contract expire screw up any plans they might have had? Who knows in regards to the Daniel Bryan aspect of that, but it really is true. Aside from Jimmy Uso, who else can you say, like, all right, there's a possibility that Roman should be in a Hell in a Cell with this person? A Hell in a Cell should be like, obviously, it's not treated this way anymore in WWE, where it should be more of like a feud ender, where it's like you've had this whole gigantic feud and it culminates, the very end of it is in a Hell in a Cell. I wouldn't say that that's what's been going on with Jimmy. Obviously, they've had their issues, but he was gone for such a long time. So I think they do have to build off of that. But we'll see. All right. And I'm going to scroll back down and see what else I missed here. All right, this is a comment from Pomi who says, I liked this segment, but unlike most Roman Reigns segments, I don't think it advanced Roman's story in any significant manner. His interaction with Jey Uso later in the night felt way more impactful. That is true because he essentially basically told him he doesn't want him to partner up with Jimmy Uso. So yeah, I do agree with that. I just really do think that the issue right now, and we were talking about this with the women, and somebody also mentioned that's the same thing with the men, is that you do need more hot challengers up there for Roman Reigns, especially more baby faces. He is doing the best work of his life as a heel. He needs a polar opposite in another baby face, and we've already seen what he's done. We've already been there, done that with Kevin Owens. So we just saw the Cesaro feud. Who else is there at the moment? So it's kind of like, all right, at this point, they have to continue this whole family story with Jimmy Uso. That feels like the only direction as of this moment. Okay, let's see what else we got here. This is a comment from Aaron who says, Roman's character is unique and we haven't had a character this good in years. WWE should only use Roman for legitimate feuds with builds rather than putting him in pointless matches. Exactly what I was trying to say in regards to having him in pointless matches at a pay-per-view. Keep him off the show, have him come out, cut a promo, basically talk about how nobody was worthy of him to even have a match. I don't know, something along those lines. I think that would be pretty cool. And it would kind of make you hate Roman Reigns just a little bit more. Kashem M says, Roman Reigns versus Reginald. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear Lord. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on from all of this. All right. Actually, I'll read one more comment. This one's from RJ Best, who says, they buried everyone and haven't built anyone. That's why there's no challengers for Reigns. Bonker says Big E can have a match with Reigns. I don't feel like they've been booking Big E towards that direction that much, though. He's still, well, they could. Obviously, they could, but it wouldn't make sense for them to be, in a Hell in a Cell or anything like that, but we'll see. All right. After this, here we go. So somebody else brought up a super chat about this earlier today, and this happened later on in the show, but Robert Roode versus Dominic today, and what was a terrible match, a terrible match for Dominic, obviously. So Robert Roode comes out and he says, "Bring your son to work, day is over," and basically just bashes Dominic about being a little kid and all, basically what he's been doing the last couple of weeks. So believe it or not, even though it feels like you might have seen Robert Roode versus Dominic, because I went into this when I saw that this was going to be the match for tonight, I thought, man, I feel like I've already seen this. Well, I went back and turns out I have not seen Robert Roode versus Dominic. It feels like you may have seen it already just because we've seen so many different variations of this match with Robert Roode, with Dolph Ziggler, with Rey Mysterio, with Otis, with Gable, with all of these same key players. So it almost feels like you've already seen this match, but turns out we haven't. There was a funny moment, though, where Pat McAfee calls Robert Roode Bob Roode, which I thought was pretty funny. But overall, guys, I do have to say that this was not a good match whatsoever. I thought that Dominic looked very, very uncomfortable in the ring, and he looked very green in this match, excuse me. And there's been other matches where I'm like, okay, he still looks a little like not very confident in what he's doing, but at least he's been having somewhat passable matches, and this match was kept short, but I just couldn't help but to notice all of the moments in which I felt Dominic looked very, very uncomfortable in the ring. So, and it does make you worry considering that Robert Roode is an excellent worker and can have great matches with anybody. It does bring a little bit of concern where you're like, all right, Robert Roode couldn't have necessarily a good match with Dominic because this was not it. This was not a good match. Dominic did end up winning with a frog splash, and it just did not feel believable whatsoever. I could not buy that Dominic could legitimately beat Robert Roode. So those are my thoughts on that. What did you guys think about Robert Roode losing to Dominic in this short, not so great match? And Colette Adam brings up the point that his frog splash looks weak too. Yeah, it makes me feel bad because obviously we all know why he does the frog splash, but it does not look good. It hasn't been looking good. I don't think there's ever been one frog splash that he's done where I'm like, you know what, that frog splash looked good. I don't think so, which I feel bad though. I feel bad to say. This is another super chat. Thank you so much to Cyclops is Better Than Wolverine, who says, "Are you a baby champ fan? Denise, acknowledge him." I refuse to acknowledge the baby champ. Thank you so much to Cyclops for sending in this super chat. You are awesome. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Go ahead and send in your thoughts on all of this. This is a comment from Kashem, who says, "Dominic is really good. I like how he isn't so polished because it's different than every other wrestler." No, I think at this point he should be further along in the ring. There's been other people that have had less experience that come in, and you just see this massive growth in them. I think Dominic should be way further along at this point, way further along. And okay. That was pretty much this. Dalen says, "Why was the match bad? I left the room. It was clunky. Dominic just looked very uncomfortable in everything that he was doing. Like if you go back and watch it, it's not smooth. It's not crisp whatsoever." That's really how I felt about that. This is a comment from Games on YouTube who says, "To be fair, this is probably his least impressive outing, and for the most part, he's been good. He's been passable for the most part, and obviously he's been doing a lot of tag matches, so that does cover up a lot of his flaws. I didn't think that he had necessarily bad matches with Seth Rollins. Obviously, he had about a zillion with Seth Rollins. I can't even count how many matches he had with Seth, but those were necessarily not bad. It was just that it just was very noticeable on today's match. And I don't feel like I've never really said anything negative about his in-ring work in the past, because again, it's been passable, but this one, it was very noticeable. And we have another super chat. Thank you so much to Kaleem Alahi, who says, "Dominic should be sent to NXT for development." Yeah, obviously. And God, if they ever do house shows again, obviously, that's why they did house shows, back in the day. Not only like you had them working the same matches over and over, so by the time they got to TV, they were good. So I don't know if maybe that's why they have him in these exact same matches, trying to help him out here, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it was his greatest work today. All righty. And this is a comment in regards to the house show comments that I just made from Brandon, who says the lack of house shows is hurting some of the talent. They lose those opportunities to have more matches. Exactly. And I almost feel like that's why we've been having so many of these repeat matches, is to help the talent, but then it hurts us, the viewers. So there you go on all of that. All right, guys. Before we move on to the main event, friendly reminder that I will be back next week on Tuesday to talk about NXT. NXT has been a very fun show, and it's always really fun to talk about NXT. So make sure you guys come in on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I will not be here like I normally am, because once again, AEW is being preempted to Friday. And then my Friday show is starting 2 hours after the normal start time. So make sure you guys come in or catch the replay, whatever you guys want. I will be talking about SmackDown and AEW on that Friday show. So it is going to look a little different next week. So just remember that. Again, if AEW is preempted, my shows will be airing at a different time. If you guys want to make sure you stay up to date when all of my shows are actually occurring, you can go ahead and follow me on Twitter and or Instagram at _Denise Salcedo. More so Twitter, because Twitter is a place where I promote all of the shows that I'm doing and where you get the direct link to access all of the shows. Or you can just come onto the website or to the YouTube channel to go ahead and find those shows on there as well. All righty, guys, here we go. Let's talk about this awesome, super awesome, phenomenal main event that we had for the Intercontinental title, a fatal four-way match between Sami Zayn, Apollo Crews, Kevin Owens, and Big E. And I gotta say, they actually gave this match plenty of time and it delivered. So just to name a couple of the big moments here, Kevin Owens immediately right at the top of this match attacks Sami Zayn. Apollo does several shots, throws several shots to the head of Big E. We see Big E do a splash on Sami on the apron. We see a Tope con Hero from Kevin Owens to Big E right after. We see a clothesline from Kevin Owens to Sami and a Swanton Bomb from KO to Sami. We see Kevin Owens hit Sami with a Fisherman's Brain Buster. We see Apollo do a Death Valley Driver on Kevin Owens. We see Big E hit Apollo with a massive spear. Big E suplexes Apollo and Sami at the exact same time. Kevin Owens hits him with a frog splash, gets a 2 count. Big E ends up hitting the big ending on Apollo, and Aziz pulls his leg, so he can't get the win there. So he almost got the win there, but didn't get it because of Aziz. And then out of nowhere, the lights start glitching a little bit, and I'm thinking to myself, are they losing power? What's happening? Well, we then see like a bunch of, I don't even know if it was white smoke or white lights, but it's essentially a white screen with some blue, and it kind of looks like you're going up to heaven or something. I don't know what's happening. I'm thinking to myself, who the hell are they going to debut? Who is this going to be? I had no idea who was going to come out whatsoever. And I don't know why, but the person furthest from my mind was Alistair Black. And lo and behold, it was Alistair Black. No music, just this like foggy, dreamy intro. And he comes out and essentially hits the Black Mass on Big E. And so Apollo is able to capitalize on that and get the win. And I'm thinking, holy shit, it's Alistair Black. And even though we've been seeing all of these vignettes with him the past several weeks, I didn't expect him to come out. I can legitimately say that they surprised me on here. They completely surprised me and took me off guard when it ended up being Alistair Black coming out. And I gotta say this, I loved it. Why the hell not? This is exactly what we've been talking about. We want to see Alistair Black come out and just kick some butt, and that is exactly what he did. Came out, hit his Black Mass, which we all know and love and always looks really cool when he does it. So I like this. I thought this was perfectly an awesome way to end the show, especially given that it was a really, really good match and that each and every single guy went out there and literally knocked it out of the park. Each and every single guy in this match got to shine, especially Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, because they have this undeniable chemistry in the ring together that anytime they are in the vicinity of one another, you know it's going to be good. So what did you guys think of Aleister Black coming out, especially the way that he did come out? No music, and again, all the white smoke and all of that. What did you think about that? What did you think of the match? What did you think of the ending? And it looks like we're going to be getting Aleister Black, Big E. Looks like we're going to be getting a program with them. So let's see what we got here. This is coming from Brandon, who says, I thought Retribution was returning. I was like, no. Okay, I did not get Retribution either. Obviously not, because Retribution's they're just way totally different. Like, it would not have been presented that way. So I didn't think of Retribution either. I forgot who I was thinking of. Oh, you know who I thought of? And this is so bad. But I was like, is it Alexa Bliss? Is it The Fiend? I was expecting that because the glitching of the lights, I thought they were going to do some supernatural thing. So that I was actually thinking, oh God, no, they're going to ruin this match with something that has to do with Alexa Bliss, even though obviously that's a whole Raw thing. I know all of that. But that was just where my mind went. My mind went there first versus actually going to Aleister Black. So they really, really did surprise me on that. We have a, let's see what we got here. We have a comment from Games on YouTube. It says, Apollo Crews really took the ball and ran with it. Really cool of him. And of course, everyone did amazingly in this match. Dude, yes, I actually think that Apollo Crews and his character, and I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me, but I actually thought he did more in like the short amount of time as being Intercontinental Champion that we got to see from Big E. I actually thought Apollo Crews as Intercontinental Champion, to me, surprised me a little bit more than what we saw from Big E as champion. And so I know a lot of people are going to be like, what the hell, Denise? What are you saying? I just really do got to say that Apollo Crews has been knocking it out of the park here. Okay, BM says, amazing match despite the finish. I didn't mind the finish. I thought it was a good way to introduce Aleister Black. I thought it was perfectly fine. Tamzeed says, hope Aleister Black gets proper TV time, proper momentum, and proper push, or else don't be surprised if he demands his WWE release. I don't think if that didn't happen when he was off of TV for all of these months, that I don't think right now, given that they're actually doing something from him. Colette points out that he liked the Big E spear through the ropes. That was awesome. That was like a very, very impressive spear. And this is a comment from Joseph. It says, the ending of the match was weird. Did Apollo get a new follower? Is this just sort of a short feud with Big E and Alistair? Where does Apollo go from here? I think that this was just Alistair Black directly having an issue with Big E. So I think this is Aleister Black going after Big E. Again, it's not completely clear, because if anything, it's like, okay, you would think to yourself, why wouldn't he go to Apollo since Apollo's the champion? But again, he's heel. So I think this is just a way to start off this feud with Big E. So that's what I got from this. But it kind of okay. A lot of people didn't like this ending. Bonkers LFC also says the ending was poor. Okay, so maybe I was totally opposite of everybody here, but I liked the ending. I thought it took me by surprise. Ian Crook says, dude cuts amazing promos and can go in the ring. Sexy job to Goldberg. Oh, I'm assuming you're talking about The Fiend. Is that who you're talking about? All right, I'm not sure. Okay, let's move on. Oh, yeah, we are talking about The Fiend now since I brought him up earlier. And, okay, a couple more people thought about The Fiend as well, which is interesting again because of, it was a SmackDown brand. Patrick says, the white light thing was about to blind me. It was so interesting. I didn't know what they were doing. And Brandon also says he marked out for this. Okay, so I think you either liked it or you didn't like it. That's just the point blank. Aaron says Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens never failed to disappoint in the ring. The chemistry is unmatched. I could watch them fight all day long. They are both so good together. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Ian's talking about Kevin Owens. All right, and let me see what else you guys got here. This is a comment from Pomi who says, fun fact, Aleister Black and Big E have only crossed paths twice in WWE, both times in the Royal Rumble. Interesting. I didn't realize that. Thank you so much for sending in this fun fact. I am always here for fun facts. I enjoy fun facts. This is from BM who says, if they give Cruz credit for getting Alistair on his side, it might be good. I don't think so. Aleister Black and Apollo Crews are doing two totally different things. I just don't think that they would mesh well doing anything together. So I would keep them apart. Josh Bowen says, I thought the ending was cool. Good to put Big E in a program that's actually not stale. And let's face it, they both need it. We all know Alistair Black needs it. We all know Big E needs it. So yes, I agree with this too. And Mike New York says Black versus Fiend feud would be gold. Yeah, I'd be into that. All right, I think I pretty much got all of the main stuff here, guys. Again, overall, really good show tonight. Fun ending, at least I thought. Fun match. I think we can all agree the match was definitely fun. A good show. I'm excited to see what happens next week. Again, next week is going to be completely different. I will be talking about SmackDown and AEW Dynamite on the Friday show. So it will be a little nuts, but we're gonna do it either way also. So I want to give you guys all a heads up. So if you follow me on Twitter, keep an eye out, because if you are a fan of AEW, I have some giveaways that are coming up very, very soon. So if you want a chance at watching Double or Nothing for free, keep an eye out on my Twitter, because in the next few days, I will be posting giveaway links for people in the US and outside of the US. I can't say exactly when I'm posting those because I can't say when, but keep an eye out on that Twitter account at _ Denise Salcedo. Guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in each and every single show. I appreciate you guys all so much. Do not forget to give this video a like. Leave a nice comment in the comment section so this video can rank higher. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to F4W Online on the YouTube channel, whether you're listening to the audio version of this or watching the replay. Thank you guys all so much. Have an awesome evening and have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.